Hey fellow gamers, Chatty Sisa here. We have received another update for Dragon Age the Veilguard, and this time it is about the character creator. I think a lot of people have been already waiting for this one. I was though wondering why the IGN vid that we've got is relatively short. I think it's one of the shortest that we've received so far, and they didn't really go into that much detail and they didn't really show that much from the character creator. So I was wondering why that is, and I did actually then check out the vids from other YouTubers and content creators who had exclusive access to the game and they were able to play it before, and now the embargo has been lifted and they are able to provide us with information also from their side. And these people have been showing way more than the IGN vid does, so I will stop the vid whenever there is something that I would like to add from the additional information that I've gathered from other YouTubers and content creators, also from Twitter, etc. One thing that I wanted to mention before we go into the vid, I have seen a lot of new people here and a lot of new subscribers, and I just wanted to say hi to all of you. I'm really happy that you are here. It's great to see you all, and I'm really grateful that you have push that subscribe button and that you like the content that I'm doing. I hope that you will enjoy this vid too. And just in case you're wondering, yes, that's one of the cats that we have in this household. So let's go to the vid, and let me then stop again the vid whenever I have some additional information and I share some thoughts with you. So as you can see on the screen, the vid has only 8 minutes and 40 seconds, so it really is one of the shortest, I think, that we've got so far on the Veilguard. And I wanted to mention something which I forgot in the intro. When I was reviewing the additional content that the content creators and YouTubers have provided who had this exclusive access to Dragon Age the Veilguard, and they just couldn't release it earlier because of the embargo, I have noticed one thing: whenever there is a vid or a Twitter post or another social media post, it always starts with a similar intro. I had the chance to play the game for 6 hours and I am surprised how good it is. So basically every single one of them is stating very similar, let's say, wordings or sentences, and it does remind me quite a lot on these Amazon superfans. I'm not sure if you remember that when they were promoting the Rings of Poop on Amazon Prime. They had this huge marketing campaign and there were like a ton of fans which were promoting the series, and they had also previously exclusive access to it, and they were all saying how great it is. As it turned out, it's not. So for me, I am not sure if I would trust really 100%ly to all these people praising Veilguard. Basically, the info that we will see now in this vid is not making me exactly enthusiastic about the game again. So it is again like this kind of weird marketing where something is really awesome and something is really awful.
Our gods are back. Our gods. How do we stand against that?
After 10 years, we're now just a little over a month away from playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. I played a hefty 7 hours of Bioware's first original game since Anthem in 2019, and fourth mainline installment in the Dragon Age series, starting with the prologue and later loaded into several different saves. As a longtime fan, what I'll say is 10 years is a very long time, but so far, the Veilguard hasn't disappointed.
Yeah, I would not actually agree with that. There is a ton of vids which have been ratioed by the gamers, so yeah, it's a bold statement, to be honest. And as you could see, for the moment, the majority of the gameplay or of the vid that we are seeing is just like recycled older vids that they have already released in the meantime. So from this point of view, nothing new so far.
I've never seen this before. There's something kind of exciting about it.
Now, I could talk to you about the combat, and I will, or the gorgeous locales, that's coming too, or the way it felt to see Varric and Solus again.
Hey, Chuckles. Hope I'm not interrupting.
Or I could skip straight.
Yeah, let me just move the vid a little bit back, and there is something that's greeting us immediately at the start of the character creator: pronouns and gender. Oh, good lord. So you really had to throw this thing in, the nonsense pronouns and the gender. Okay, the pronouns, there is an information. Rook's pronouns determined how she is addressed in the game. You have he, him, she, her, and the nonsensical they, them. And then genders, I don't even want to know what genders there are when I see three. Yeah, there's only two, male and female for me, so whatever the third thing is, it's a fantasy thing. What's a little bit worse here is, and I think we're going to see it, there is not a distinction when you are creating your character between like male and female in terms of body presets. No, it's all thrown in together, and it's like body type 1, body type 2. So, yeah, I really find this absolutely awful, because especially when you look at the female body types, most of them look quite a bit masculine, and I'm not sure if you are able to create like a really good looking feminine body type.
I could skip straight to the character creator and start with, there's so much hair. Look, I loved Dragon Age Inquisition, but fans have long acknowledged the limitations of its character creator. The Veilguard blew me away in that regard. After the lackluster options of the last entry, it's wild to see what we've got to look forward to. 30 hair options for Qunari and 88 for non-Qunari, complete with gorgeous physics as Rook scurries around Northern Thedas. So many different hair textures are represented, whether you'd like totally straight hair, 2B waves, or 4C curls. In making my character, I was drawn immediately to a long braid that whipped around as quickly as I did.
And again, let me stop it a little bit here and add some more information. So we've seen a little bit about the Qunari. There was a very brief showcasing of the Qunari. And what was a little bit surprising to me, that actually this was mentioned also by some of the people who had this exclusive access, that the Qunaris actually really all look this crappy with the attachment of the horns. So it is now confirmed also by other YouTubers and content creators. It was not just like a mistake in the character creator by one person somewhere in IGN when they were creating their Qunari Rook, that they have positioned the horns in a weird manner. No, this is how the character creator for the Qunaris actually works. So even though the Qunaris have like 30 specific hairstyles just for them and 49 horn options with various materials, they still will look crappy with these weird foreheads. And it's simply because how the character creator places the horns on the head, and there is nothing you can do about it aside from tweaking a little bit, maybe the forehead yourself, or trying to tweak it a little bit and trying to use maybe smaller horns. That would not be such a big difference between the small face and the size of the horns. But aside from that, this is something that was confirmed also by the other players and people with this exclusive access. The Qunari will not be looking so great, unfortunately.
Kunari horns also see a massive improvement. With 49 unique styles, options range from large and imposing to decorative or even asymmetrical. That said, yes, their foreheads can look pretty jarring. I played as a Kunari mage during most of my preview and will say I got used to the look pretty quickly. Dragon Age the Veilguard actually only marks the second game of the series where you can play as a Kunari, so the odd imbalance of forehead versus face feels like stylistic growing pains.
Oh, really? So that's like downplaying something that's really botched and that's really hurting my eyes whenever I look at it, and you're just saying, oh, you just need to get used to it. I highly doubt that people will get just used to it. It's not going to work.
I remain curious about whether more time with the character creator might help. The air shock of Dragon Age 2 is, in my opinion, such a beautifully crafted model, and I would love to be able to create a Kunari Rook that feels as memorable. Customization certainly doesn't stop at hair, or horns, of course. Every aspect of your Rook is editable, even allowing for facial asymmetry if you choose. Sliders allow you to change everything from head shape to the...
And I will stop it here, and as you can see on the screen right now, there is this vitiligo slider, and I really have to ask, what's with this unhealthy obsession with vitiligo in the games lately? If you just use a simple Google search, you will actually find out that vitiligo is impacting about 1% of the human population. As of now, it is about 70 million people. Tell me how many of those are actually gamers and are going to play this game. I'm just wondering, because I have noticed this already in a few previous games. What's this obsession with the vitiligo? I just don't understand this one. It's not that I'm not enjoying a character creator that has a lot of various options, but why are we not then including, I don't know, 2 noses and 3 eyes and 2 mouths? Yeah, it's just crap. This is a fantasy game. A fantasy game where normally in a magical fantasy world, normally you would actually expect something like this to not exist there, because you might just simply use a spell or a potion to change that skin condition and just simply look differently. So for me, it just doesn't make sense in a fantasy game.
The melanin in your skin to the presence of vitiligo. Perhaps my favorite addition, however, is the introduction of body diversity. Cyberpunk 2077 and Baldur's Gate 3 had whiffs of this, but nowhere near what you're capable of in the Veilguard, which is much more similar to the breadth of the character creator in Dragon's Dogma 2. For each of the 4 races...
Okay, I am stopping it right here. Notice like 2 things. One is that body type up there, which is looking kind of fat, and actually I do have a screenshot of this, which is a little bit better, from someone else, and they confirmed that you can actually create a fat rook. Congratulations, you have a fat warrior or a fat mage or a fat rogue. These characters are going to fight their fighters in a fantasy universe where you are using melee weapons mainly, or weapons that definitely require you to have some physical strength and some kind of fitness. A fat body type absolutely does not make any sense. And the other thing I have noticed on the female body types, first of all, they all look kind of weird and a little bit off. So I'm not sure if it's just because we are seeing only a certain small portion of the starting, let's say, body types. Maybe there is one somewhere further below, which is very feminine. and we just don't see it here. But the ones that we can see are looking very odd and like these are not really feminine shapes. And I don't know, is it just me, or have you noticed it as well? Like if we are continuing through the vid, even when they say that they have improved, let's say, the breast size or the butt size, it's still like ridiculously small and flat, and there's nowhere near like a really nice breast or butt. So I just don't know what to think of this, to be honest.
There are plenty of presets to choose from, all with varying heights and muscle or fat distribution. Once you've chosen your preset, however, you can build further upon those elements as much as you'd like. First is a triangulation of coordinates, allowing for many unique combinations of body types that are thinner, larger, or more muscular. Height sliders are fun, especially when it means watching my particularly short elf ruin years of Solus's ritual planning by pushing over a statue. The options feel almost endless. There's even a glute slider. And yes, I gave my rook one hell of an ass.
Okay, tell me where that ass is. Come on, let's go back. Glute size, 100%. Where's that ass? Come on, seriously? That's a joke. That's a joke.
I gave my rook one hell of an ass. All of this is only scratching the surface. I haven't even gotten into facial hair, makeup, scars, or tattoos. As an elf, my rook sported some Vaseline, but there are so many different designs for both the face and the body to experiment with.
Okay, let me stop here again. I have to say one thing in spite of all the criticism. When you look at the faces of the created characters, and especially like the eyes with the makeup and everything, and yeah, I'm talking now from a point of view of a woman who's creating mainly female characters, I have to admit that this really looks great. I really like it from the visual side. You can obviously create a really beautifully looking face with a big amount of options for hairstyles. So from my point of view, and as I've mentioned also in some of my previous vids, this is something that I really appreciate, even though it's probably not so important for many people, but for me as a woman who likes to play really with beautiful characters, I can absolutely appreciate this, because until now, in all of the games lately, I had to use some kind of mods if I wanted to create a great looking character. You can see that, for example, also on the vid that I have created for the modding of Mass Effect Andromeda, where there is a preview of how many mods I had to install and what kind of mods I had to install and how I had to play around in order to actually get a good looking rider out of that character creator. And without the modding, it really wasn't possible in that extent as the mods have allowed me to do. So one thing that I absolutely appreciate here on this character creator is the fact that I really do not have to use modding in order to achieve a fantastically looking face, which is really gorgeous. And all I have to do is just play around a little bit longer in the character creator. So that's why I was saying in the beginning of the vid, why again this is giving me this kind of very schizophrenic vibes, because some of the stuff is really awesome, like this, what I have just mentioned, and some of the stuff is really awful, like the stuff that we have seen in regards of the absolutely woke nonsense that was incorporated, right?
But there are so many different designs for both the face and the body to experiment with. While I didn't spend very much time exploring customization for the Inquisitor, I just know we'll all get the chance to make them in the way we've always imagined.
It's good to see you again.
Also, it may be a relief to some of you to know that Veilguard abandons the awful green lighting of Inquisition's character creator and instead allows you to cycle through several lighting options in service of creating rooks that look just as good in gameplay as they do.
Yeah, this one is probably winning the meme lottery right now. When you look at this face, I have to laugh. Seriously, this one is really very meme-worthy. But yeah, one thing that, again, I have to state here on this spot is what the lady is also mentioning. I do appreciate that you have these various lighting options and you can actually really try to see how the character that you are creating will be looking in different environments. That is really very helpful, and you don't have to then go back always during the game and just tweak around and tweak around. You are able to do most of the tweaking, I would say, already previously in the character creator. So I do appreciate that the game devs were thinking about these various options for lighting.
Do when you create them.
Good, and what is surprising to me, like I said in the beginning, is that we've got a relatively short vid about the character creator, about which the game devs were already previously bragging that it's really very extensive and it's great and that we are going to see a lot of it. And in the end, from the vid that had 8 minutes and 40 seconds, they only dedicated 5 minutes for the character creator. And there's a ton of the things which we haven't seen. And there is a literal cherry on top of all the woke nonsense that we have seen so far in the character creator, and that is top surgery scars. As I said already before, this is a fantasy game set in a fantasy universe. And you're telling us now that the Dragon Age universe is so advanced that they have gender-affirming surgeries. Is this not something that could have been fixed in this universe simply by a spell or a potion or whatever? I will never understand why the game devs feel the need to add this crap into a fantasy game. Would it make sense in some sci-fi game or in some game which is based on the real world? Yes. Does it make sense in a magical fantasy world? Absolutely not. So this is just mind-blowing to me how nonsensical this is in the character creator. There's another thing which was not mentioned here, but which was mentioned by the other content creators, and that is the fact that you can change some of the stuff, and mainly the hair, even during the game and relatively frequently. So I do believe this is kind of impressive if you consider that the game is able, technically, from a technical point of view, to adjust to changes to your character mid-game, and even frequent ones. I really do appreciate that. Let's not forget, though, that the hair physics, which BioWare is bragging about, was actually developed by the EA FIFA team, and not by BioWare themselves. They're just using it. But, you know, that's just a side note. But let's not forget that. That's something that's been mentioned here a couple of times, but it's not really an achievement by BioWare if you look really into the details. And to summarize a little bit this portion, I mean, there are more information about the character creator by all these other people, the YouTubers and content creators who had this exclusive access to the game. It's not even by IGN. These people who are not paid as much as IGN for their exclusive coverage have been doing a better job on covering the character creator than IGN themselves. They really are not doing a great job here in this case.
Combat, meanwhile, was a refreshing change from Inquisition. My go-to class has always been Mage, and even as a Knight Enchanter, I often felt like I was standing in one place holding down the left trigger. This felt like a return to the pace of Dragon Age 2, with innovations that improve upon the experience of battle overall.
Okay, we can see now a little bit more from the gameplay. This is not something that we have seen already before, so I do appreciate that we get to see a little bit more of the gameplay here. So this is obviously a mage gameplay, but what did surprise me was the next thing that is being said here.
The Veilguard introduces a new fighting style for mages featuring an orb and dagger for
Dagger. You heard right. A mage with a dagger. Now this is again a mixing of the classes, and it continues. So not just that warriors and rogues have magical abilities now, we also suddenly have mages who fight with daggers, which previously were only relevant for the rogue class. So again, this is a mixing of the classes, and there is no real distinction anymore for me. For me, it kind of makes no sense then to split even the character into classes if you are going to mix everything into the pot and assign whatever you want to your character, no matter if they are a rogue, a warrior, or a mage.
close quarters combat. It's tailor-made for players like me who love magic, but also really like to stab. During my preview, I played through the prologue and then dropped forward into various points of Act 1, so I really got to quickly experience the progression Rook and their companions can go through as fighters. We may not be able to take control of our companions this time around, but the Veilguard really encourages strategizing with them. They'll call out to you when they've rebuilt their mana or stamina, and the ability wheel even suggests combos. My focus during the event was mission-driven, so I didn't get as much of a chance to interact with the characters as I would have liked, but even the brief moments of banter endeared me to them pretty quickly.
It didn't break.
You call that nice and quiet?
Each class gets its...
But notice again one little thing. I was focused on combat and I didn't really had so much chance to talk to the companions. So again, we are not really getting any information about like interactions with them. I'm really missing this information about them, like somebody already mentioned also in one of the comments on my previous vids. There is currently no real reason why we should actually care about them. I don't really know them.
Own ultimate ability. Think the focus ability, along with a ranged attack. For warriors, that means yeeting your shield like a giant metal boomerang. I've always played Dragon Age for story and not combat, but with this new system, I had so much fun. I felt present during every encounter and truly accomplished after every boss battle. That said, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve. I still found myself confusing controls a few hours in.
See, have you noticed that? Everybody who's promoting the game is saying, oh, they had so much fun with the combat, but at the same time, they say one or two sentences later that they actually had taken some time to actually getting used to it, and they were still making some mistakes, so it's not so easy for them to adjust to this gameplay style or this combat. Again, I have a mixed feeling here from the information we are receiving.
A departure from all three installments, but luckily the Veilguard offers 5 different difficulty levels that you can change at will if you want to ease yourself in. As a Dragon Age fan, the Veilguard felt like a homecoming of sorts. Just as much as seeing familiar faces in Solas and Varric, I was overjoyed to be back in the world of Thedas itself. Moving us north allows for that sense of discovery I got in Inquisition, and if I'd encourage anything, it's to really look at your surroundings. Not only are there small environmental puzzles to entangle, along with small and effective moments of visual storytelling, but The horizon is full of breathtaking scenery that drives home the scale of these locations I've personally always wondered about. One new locale, for instance, is a gorgeous underwater prison called the Ossuary.
And this one is what we have seen previously in one of the screenshots, where I was wondering why we are like underwater and how come we are there. So obviously it's a prison which has, I'm guessing, magical walls that keep the water out. But at the same time, you're probably having a problem to actually escape, because where to and how to if you are underwater. So this is an interesting idea. I'm wondering how the mission here will go that we're going to have.
I won't spoil what you're there to do, but the design alone makes it one of the most memorable moments I've had in any Dragon Age game. Even after hours of gameplay, I still felt like I could have played for many hours more. I'm optimistic about the Veilguard, and excited for it in a way I haven't quite felt about another game in quite some time. If you'd like to see even more of the game, check out our exclusive IGN First coverage, which features even more gameplay and deep dives on Rook's companions. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
Thanks.
All right, so yeah, that was it for this vid, as you could see. So to summarize my overall impression from this vid, from IGN and from the character creator in this game is one of the best things I have seen lately in the past few years in a game. And at the same time, it's one of the worst things I have seen lately in the past few years in games. I have really very conflicting feelings from this character creator. I love how you can play around with the face, with the hair, even with the body adjustments. But what absolutely deters me from touching it is this woke nonsense that's been incorporated. Yes, people might say it's great because it gives you just additional options and you might not use those options. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Sure, we don't. But why do you even feel the need to add nonsense into a game like a fantasy game, which I've mentioned previously, that is something that would not make sense in a magical universe? Can you please stop mixing the real life problems that we see in today's world into magical fantasy games? It's just very, very tiring. So yeah, that's my own impression here. I am hyped for the beautiful characters, and at the same time, I hate this nonsense that we have seen. Tell me in the comment section what's your impressions and what you think about it. I would really love to hear your thoughts. The last vid that I have posted really had great interactions with all of you, so I was really happy to see that, and I was really happy to see all of your thoughts and your opinions, and it really gave me a different perspective on some of the things. So I would really be happy if you would do the same here as well. And please don't forget to hit that like button in case you like this vid. It's really much appreciated and it's really very helpful. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay tuned and game on.